Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. You have Alyssa Corum here, and I am joined by Ed Carson. Today, we're going to talk about another mixed session, tech stocks and growth names getting hit particularly hard. Ed, what's on tap?
Yeah, we're going to be taking a look at RH, Apple, and Alibaba, which all had different actions today. That's for sure.
All right, well, we'll analyze those. But first, a look at the major indexes today. We're going to take a look at all three. We're going to kick things off with the NASDAQ here. Another down day after yesterday's downside reversal at that 12,000 level. A decline of about 1.4% for today for the tech-heavy index. The S&P finished down fractionally, 0.1%, while the Dow outperformed, up 0.9% for the day. So not too great if you've been in a lot of tech names or growth stocks, Ed.
That's right, and a lot of growth names did a lot worse than this each day. It did close off the lows. It bounced off the 21-day line. It wasn't a disaster. It's just that there was some pretty violent moves, especially from Monday's intraday high. Really, some big sell-offs there. Obviously, there may be a rotation into real-world stocks. If you see down the road a vaccine, yeah, we can take a look at the Dow, take a look at the S&P. If you believe that that's going to happen and that maybe by mid-year we can start being more open, like most people have been vaccinated, you can start traveling and whatnot. Well, what do you buy? It's like not just the coronavirus plays that are out, but maybe some other growth names, because you say, I want to buy Boeing, or I want to buy some other names that are out in the travel or other spaces. But we don't know. Sometimes you have these little rotations and then it's just back. So it's a tough environment, but you have to look at your stocks and decide, well, are you getting shaken out? It's like you just have to cut your losses sometimes, or just say, I'm going to take some profits because this is not going in the right way. I've got to preserve my capital and go back in when the market's better.
Yeah, those are some really great tips. We'll just check in on the S&P 500 really quickly, fractionally lower, but well off of the lows for the day. Some nice support at that 3,500 level. So hanging in there, definitely a lot better than the NASDAQ today.
That's right.
But let's take a look at some individual names, starting off with RH. Some nice support at its own 50-day and 21-day moving averages as it works on this nice base, retaking those moving averages last week on that really big move higher broadly, and a couple of buy points potentially in play here, Ed.
Yeah, but we're calling this a double bottom off of the because it did undercut a couple of weeks ago, and that's right. And so we would say 4487 is the official buy point, but you could argue that around 395 or so, right around there, yeah, it's sort of been a resistance area. And on that left hand of that October 23rd day, that close was actually the highest close in the base. I don't know how excited you would want to be about getting an early entry right now, but it's because of the market going back and forth. RH has been doing well because, let's face it, the upscale people buying this furniture haven't lost their jobs for the most part. I mean, and they've been spending on their homes. So we don't know how RH will react when when the coronavirus vaccine comes in. We can go out and travel, not spend on expensive sofas anymore.
Yeah, but it has held in there much better than I think some of its peers. So we'll have to keep an eye on these buy points around this area. And let's flip on over to Apple, AAPL. It had an event today, a Mac event, and that didn't really seem to move the stock a whole lot, but it is holding right around that 50-day, some resistance at that 120 level. What are your thoughts with this one, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, it's Apple Mac event. I mean, Macs are not iPhones; they just aren't that huge thing, and all the stuff that goes with that. But it was basically what was expected. They're using their own in-house chips. I guess they're calling them the M1 chips. So they're not going to be using Intel chips, or at least going to be phasing those out. So it wasn't a surprise. Supposedly going to be better performance, more battery life, and so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, I think you'd want to get above yesterday's high, even as an early entry. 125.49, even that's sort of an early entry because that handle is a little low in the base. But and so yeah, there's all sorts of things you could do. That would be the official buy point. So we'll just have to see. It's nice that the biggest market cap stock in the world is holding ground. It hasn't lost too badly. If the growth stocks were doing this, we wouldn't be worried at all. It's the stocks that we'll be getting to soon.
Yeah.
that's where more of the concerns come in.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's take a look at the chart of Alibaba, ticker BABA. Having a little bit of a rough time here. The stock closing down over 8%. Really heavy volume. I mean, what stands out to me here is just these huge spikes of volume on the down days. I mean, even before today,
Yeah.
I think the downside volume was pretty notable. But between one gap down, taking you to a trip to the 50-day, and then another one taking you all the way back down to undercut that buy point. Not a happy day for Alibaba investors.
No, there was in the news out, and you laid it out all great. Then there, the volume and the relative strength line is just all of a sudden cratered. What happened today is that China issued some draft regulations to basically try to crack down on what they worried about monopolistic behaviors by big internet companies, really big e-commerce platforms. And Alibaba is the biggest
Yeah.
one out there. They have the biggest marketplace, so it's really targeting them more than anybody else. This comes a couple weeks in, and when it plunged that first time a couple weeks ago, that's when uh, Chinese regulators went after them. Well, not after them, but they suspended the IPO of Ant Group, which
Right.
Alibaba owns a third of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. Beyond these individual events, then you have to start thinking, well, wait a second, it seems like China is starting to crack down on Alibaba. And when regulators in China start going after a firm, it can take a long time to get out of that doghouse. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll try to. But so that's a concern. And it hit all of them though. I mean, this was negative news for JD. I mean, I think we should just punch up JD, which its chart was in better shape. So, and it didn't fall quite as badly. It's pretty heavy loss. And it's
Mm-hmm.
right around. You certainly could have, went below the 50-day line. Triggered the 7 to 8% sell rule. I suppose if you held on to it, because it closed above that area, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. And just looking back at Alibaba really quickly, I mean, I think there's a difference between hanging on to a stock when it comes back down to the buy point here, and
Yeah.
then when it comes back down to the buy point here after, gaining almost 20%. We do like taking profits on the way up, but sometimes you do have to hold through a bit of turbulence to get those big winners. But this for sure flashing a pretty clear sell signal here, Ed.
And just one more piece of news. Right now, they're already undergoing the 11/11 shopping event, the biggest
Right,
shopping event in the
exactly.
world. That's already started because it's 11/11 in China now.
Mhm.
And so that'll be going on. I think it's like 36-hour event, huge amount. So we'll get news on that. That'll move one way or the other over the next few
Mhm.
days. But
Yeah, that'll be
really,
interesting. We'll have to see.
yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, that's it for today's rundown of what's going on in the market. And if you liked that, well, you can get a whole lot more where that came from tomorrow morning on IBD Live, our daily morning live stream where our team is sharing their charts, talking about portfolio management strategies in this ever changing market that we are seeing. We're here to keep you grounded, talking about our rules that are in place to help you protect those profits and take a look at potential setups and stocks that are poised to outperform in the next leg up. So we'll have to see, and I guess to provide a little bit more analysis and help you digest what's going on with all of this rotation. So we hope you tune in tomorrow morning, IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.